The Assembly of First Nations is on the third and final day of its annual meeting. CBC's Jorge Barrera is covering the event and joins me live from Vancouver. And Jorge, I understand you just had a chance to speak to Chief RoseAnne Archibald. Can you tell us more?
Yes, National Chief RoseAnne Archibald has had quite the journey through this assembly. Coming in, it was unclear whether she would be able to hold on to her leadership. You know, she was facing non-confidence resolution, she was facing a suspension resolution, but at the end of the day, she managed to emerge still as National Chief, and she got one of her main priorities through the Assembly, which was a call for this forensic audit of the Assembly of First Nations. And the National Chief spoke about what it was like for her to go through this over the last 3 days.
Well, I said it to the chiefs. The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. You set it free and it will defend itself. This has always been about truth. So as I walked through this journey, I knew that the truth would be revealed. I knew it.
The National Chief also broke down exactly how this audit process is expected to unfold. There is a Chiefs Committee that is already in existence, and they're going to take on this financial issue, and they're going to review finances with a particular eye to contracts and salary payouts. Then this committee is expected to report back before March 31st of next year, the end of the fiscal year. And from there, it's going to be determined whether a forensic audit is going to be needed. And if it is, they are going to be setting the terms of references for this. As well, National Chief spoke about the concerns she has with these contracts. She said some First Nations chiefs had been given contracts by the previous National Chief administration while they were also being paid for by their own First Nations government. So she has some concerns about double dipping, and she wants a closer look at these. She also said that she has been in contact with both Minister Patty Hajdu, Indigenous Services Canada, which provides most of the funding for the AFN, and Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Mark Miller to discuss this, because this money flows from the federal government. It has rules around it, and so she says that she asked for their support as they embark on this process. Travis.
Okay, so Jorge, what is next now for the AFN?
Well, that's been a question that's come up repeatedly, especially over the last 2 days, as this whole leadership issue has consumed most of the debate. A lot of the chiefs here have expressed publicly concerns about the fact that other issues, early childhood learning, crisis in communities that are unfolding right now as chiefs are speaking, aren't getting looked at. And one of these chiefs from Serpent River First Nation in Ontario actually voiced these concerns today, shortly after chiefs voted to pass this forensic resolution forward. So here's what this chief from Serpent River had to say about that.
So we, the leadership of Serpent River First Nation, are disappointed with the outcomes and directions of this assembly. This is not leadership. This is not what our people expect of us as leaders, and this is not. As a Two-Spirit person, as a chief, and especially as an Indigenous person, I'm expressing deep dissatisfaction with the national and regional leadership. Serpent River would rather be fighting the government than fighting our brother and sister nations. Our youth have called out this assembly for inaction, and the last few days have been mired in drama and ego. We are asserting ourselves, and we call upon this assembly to have courage, and it's time to chart our own path forward. In these times of uncertainty, distractions, and lack of leadership at the AFN, Serpent River will be suspending its participation in today's assembly, and we'll be going back to our community to hold discussions on our future.
Now, the chiefs behind me are going to be hearing from 3 federal ministers shortly. Indigenous Services Minister Patty Hajdu is here, so is Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Mark Miller and Justice Minister David Lametti. They will all be delivering words to the Assembly, and it's expected that chiefs will usually get a chance to ask them some questions. So, their specific issues, sort of broader jurisdiction and rights issues, are probably going to take front and center on this. Even though this issue does, with the whole forensic audit and corruption, that does fall into Indigenous Services Minister Patty Haidu's lap. Her department has a branch that deals with this, so that's something that she'll also have to address. Also, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was also here. He met with the national chief, and he's also expected to address the assembly. And he told us that he also supports the Assembly of First Nations, to sort out their own financial issues going forward with this new forensic audit resolution and the committee that's going to be looking at that. Travis?
Okay, well, we'll check in with you in a little while to see how conversations with those politicians go. That's the CBC's Jorge Barrera joining us from Vancouver.